If you're a member of the Yu-Gi-Oh community, I'm sure you've heard of Zodiac Duelist. It's a very large public group on Facebook that has over 72,000 members. I believe was actually created by MCole40, and while it does sometimes carry some interesting discussion and back and forth, it's more of a meme posting, shit posting kind of community group that can occasionally provide entertainment. So someone actually pointed out to me that there's been a lot of posts in Zodiac about ban lists, whether they're wish lists or predictions for the upcoming lists, and usually I'll try to throw a ban list prediction list out at some point. We're expecting, I think October 1st is the earliest, so it's probably a little while away. But I wanted to take a look at some of these custom ban lists or wish lists that people are putting out, because there are a lot of people in there who are probably a lot more well-versed in the current meta than me, and might be able to make some, impactful lists. And for those of you who didn't see it, Ryan and I did the full discussion series about the ban list back... It was probably about 2 to 3 months ago now. It's been a while. And so I'm hoping that we'll see some cool stuff. But based on the previews that I have already seen, this should be a very interesting video. So if you guys are not part of Zodiac Duelist and you enjoy that type of stuff and you want to go check the group out, obviously you can find it on Facebook. Just search up Zodiac Duelist and you can join there. I do find it a great source of news. People will post things pretty quick when new things are announced. But be aware, it is probably not for everyone. That's not why we're here, though. If you guys are interested in this type of video and want to see me do more reaction videos, ban list discussion videos, and stuff like that, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. But let's jump into the actual meat and potatoes of this video, and that is going to be taking a look at the custom ban lists that have been posted. Now, just to sort of set the tone a little, I have 7 in total, and some of them are actually pretty good. Like, I haven't read through them super thorough because I wanted to at least be able to react somewhat genuinely here. Some of them, as you could probably see by the one on the screen, and I will put some of the cards as we talk about them on the right-hand side up as well, are a little bit more, let's call it egregious. But we're not going to start with that one. We're going to actually start with one that is pretty basic, all things considered, and that one is... Well, this one, I think, is a meme list, so we'll disregard this entirely. We're going to take a look at this one here. A ban list prediction. This was posted August 22nd, so it's been a few days. And let's just kind of go through it, talk about it a little bit, and I'll tell you where my thoughts are on this. So, ban Sky Striker Hornet drones. I definitely have seen this argument or this take before. I don't think it's a terrible take, but I also don't think it's necessary. Sky Striker is definitely annoying. I don't miss Eternal format, but Sky Striker is a decent deck now that is not dominating the meta by any stretch of the imagination. That being said, I don't think there's really much of a reason to hit it. I know when Engage came back, the idea was it's going to completely destroy things and shake things up, and maybe, you could argue the merits of Engage, which I do think is a problematic card in and of itself, but I'm not really advocating for banning anything in Sky Striker at this point. My hit would be to put Kagari to 1, but I'm not making the list. Let's take a look at the limited section. That seems to be where the majority of this is. Mystic Mind to 1. I actually think I can get behind this. This is a really good move, I think, in general. I dislike the card immensely because it creates this, solitaire game state. And if you're not maining Spell and Trap removal, you're immediately going to be in a position where now you either have to sit there and your opponent's going to stall for time and hope who decks out first. And I just hate that type of mentality in Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. So that may be me as someone who just likes player interaction. Maybe I'm in the wrong game. Mystic Mind, though, has been a card people have complained about a lot. I think putting it to 1 mitigates a lot of the issues. Thunder Dragon Colossus, I'm in favor of this entirely. I do think this list, just kind of looking at it quick, lines up with a lot of my personal opinions and feelings about the game. I think Colossus at 1 is okay. I think it does a lot to give Thunder Dragons a fighting chance without being too inherently problematic. Orchist Harp Horror, not so fond of, but I guess, in fairness, putting it to 1 isn't the worst thing ever. I'm selfishly wanting to keep that at 0 because I despise that deck, and just the innate ability that it has to play through so many hand traps. But maybe we're in a different format now where 1 Harp Horror is not going to be completely game-breaking. I don't know on that one, but it wouldn't be the most shocking thing ever. Orchist hasn't done much at all without it, so I don't know where you draw that balancing line. Electromite, yep, huge supporter of this. Ryan and I talked about this a ton. It's definitely a mega boost for Pendulums, and they could use it. I think Pendulums as a whole are really kind of a deck that is just neutered by Master Rule changes and everything that happens, and so I'd be a fan of that. Master Plan, no thanks. Spiral can stay at 0. Danglong is one I've actually talked about a ton that I'd really like to see come back at some point, but we do have to make sure that we're not going to put it back in a scenario where it's going to be as problematic as it was before. Drytron Nova I don't think needs to be hit at all. I think Drytron's a solid deck. If anything, you hit Eva or limit it, because I just think it's one of the more abusable options that they have, but I'm out on hitting Nova. I'm also out on moving Engage to 2. The last thing I want to do is give Sky Striker even more power. Semi-limiting it just seems like it's a step in the wrong direction. I just acknowledge the fact here that, you know, Engage, Skystrikers not doing a ton, but giving them another copy of Engage is going to increase their consistency a ton, even if we ban drones. Skullcrab Joker should be at 3. It's a hard normal summon. I really don't think it's that you know, broken of a card. I hate semi-limiting in concept unless it makes sense with interacting with copies of cards, and in this case, there wouldn't be one. Called by the Grave also should be at 3. 2 doesn't make any sense. 3 is the number that it should be at, as long as cards exist in the game that are just dominating like hand traps. So, not a bad list, and of course, Double Irish Magician Unlimited, that's probably fine too. I mean, it hasn't seen any play at all, and Pendulums as a whole are really neutered, so I don't have any problem with that. This is a relatively tame list, all things considered. Alright, next one. Ban Red Eyes Fusion, a man of class. I'm honestly so happy to see, and I want to do a video at some point talking about my take on the whole Dragoon situation. Everyone's like, ban Dragoon. I really don't think it's ban-worthy. I think it's a good boss monster that may be a little too powerful, but it does more for, like, let me try to explain it this way, super brief. Like, Red Eyes Fusion allowing you to use materials from the deck is insanely powerful. And the thing is, if you ban Red Eyes Fusion, it doesn't hurt anything at all. Like the Red Eyes decks, if you're a casual player, are not going to suddenly be like, oh my god, Red Eyes Fusion's banned. Like, they're not using it for anything else. You're not playing Archfiend, Black Skull Dragon, or whatever. It's not that good of a card at all. But they still have access to Dragoon, which is cool for a casual deck. If you ban Dragoon, Red Eyes Fusion becomes still useless in Red Eyes or anything else that might be playing it, and Dragoon is banned. And so the way I look at it is, realistically, Fusion is the problem. Without Fusion, Dragoon is nowhere near as generic, so you can't possibly abuse it to that extent. It could be played in decks like Dark Magician and Red Eyes, but I don't think giving those decks extra power cards is a problem at all. So I am very much on board with the Red Eyes Fusion ban. I think if you need to hit the Dragoon package, that's the way to go. Astrograph Sorcerer, a little bit iffy on that one, but it'd be interesting to see what types of impact it has. It's definitely not as egregious as some other hits. Blaster, I definitely support. I do think it should come to 1. Eva, I said limited or banned. Banned is probably way too excessive. I think limiting it does make sense, although the deck can still do a lot of things with 1 copy. Nadir Servant is a good card. It's seen a little bit less play in the meta lately, so I don't know how I feel about it being limited. I know in Japan it's been limited for a while. You could maybe convince me on it for sure. Tanky to 1 doesn't feel necessary at all. I don't know how I'd hit Tri-Brigade if I were to hit them, but it wouldn't be Tanky to 1. I think Tanky at 3 is fine. Magical Meltdown, I've argued this before. I also don't think they're going to hit the Invoked Engine in general, so if this is a wish list or a wish list, as I'm looking at it here, it's definitely maybe just something he wants to have hit. I don't know how you really hit the Invoked package without completely killing it, and I also don't know that the Invoked package is, like, inherently problematic enough to warrant that. Prank Kids Battle Butler is fine, I guess. Like, I don't see a need to hit that. Like, Prank Kids are good, but they're not dominating, so I don't know why we're really trying to, like, crush them. Vanity's Emptiness, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Vanity's Emptiness. I would love to see that come back. And, you know, you could argue, again, the merits of it, but I'm definitely on board. And then, of course, Double Iris Magician, again, that seems to be a common theme. I don't know why we're going to leave that limited. I think it's just playing out. Next one, very interesting, Barrier Statue, the Stormwind's ban. I don't think you ban the Barrier Statue under any circumstances. If anything, you could talk about some more, but that combo doesn't see enough play at this point. I think Tri-Brigade has shifted to some different strategies. I don't think we need to ban that. And Dragoon also does not need to be banned. It just is not a thing that needs to happen. You either ban Fusion or Anaconda. I think Anaconda does a ton of things for other decks, so I don't want to hit it. Fusion is the most problematic card, and it impacts the least things by hitting it. So, again, it's just a net of, if you hit Fusion, Dragoon becomes unplayable completely, but if you hit Dragoon, Fusion becomes unplayable completely, and so now you're out 2 cards. If you hit Fusion, Dragoon is still playable at a casual level in other decks, so why bother taking 2 cards away when you could just take 1? Mystic Mind to 1, I'm on board with. Chicken Game's a 0 or 3 card. I actually don't see a problem with it. I think it's self-balancing. I don't think it needs an errata either. I think people get all panicked about cards like that. Same with Upstart Goblin. Brian and I discussed this in depth in our series, and you guys can go watch that if you want some in-depth takes there. Zeus to 1 I can get on board with too. I think that may not happen yet. I think they want to make some more sales on him, but we'll see what happens. That Grass looks greener. Again, I also think is a card that's self-balancing. The better it is, the worse it is, because the more people are playing it, the less useful it's going to be, and so it's just one of those things where it does tend to self-balance. Semi-limited, Summon Limit, I like Summon Limit a lot. I don't see the point in semming it, though. I don't think semi-limiting cards in general is a way to go. Skill Drain, no. I'm just no. It should just stay at 1, like most floodgates do. Terraforming, there's way too many viable targets for it. That should stay at 1 as well. And Lightning Storm doesn't need to be on the list, I don't think. I don't think you could take a card that doesn't even get mained all that frequently and call for it to be banned. It's good, I mean, to be semi, sorry. It's good for sure, but I'm not hitting Lightning Storm. So nothing, like, super egregious here, just some things I disagree with. This one's a little bit longer. Banned Wind-Up Hunter, sure, I guess. Like, if you're gonna give us back Zen Mighty, then okay. And I think looking down on the list a little bit further, that's what they're gonna do. Eva is banned, feels strong. You don't need to ban Eva and Ben 10. There's just no way. This person has clearly lost to Dry Charm way too many times. So I'm definitely not banning both of these, and I think Ben 10 offers a lot to other decks. If you have to ban one of the two, I guess we ban Eva, but nah, I'm good. Red Eyes Fusion, I'm on board with. Imperial Order, no, it doesn't need to be banned. It's fine at 1 with the errata. Red Reboot also sees, like, not much play at all at 1, so we're not banning it. There's no point. Blaster Limited, yes. Harp Horror, already talked about it. I'm not super in favor of it, but it could happen. Electromite, yes. Colossus, yes. Cyberjar, yes. I like a man with taste. I would love to see this card come back and see what it can actually do. It's probably a bit memey, but I do think it's interesting, and it's been a long time. It's a flip, so it might be slower. Nadir Servant, Magical Meltdown, Mystic Mind, we've already addressed. Engage to 2, I don't know why people are so on board with this. Like, we just gave him back Engage to 1, and the deck's definitely good. I don't think we need to give them Engage to 2. Etelly, selfishly, as someone who's played Cosmo and likes other Psychic decks, I definitely would not be opposed to that move, but I don't know if I would make it if I was R&D. I think it's definitely a really powerful card. Called by the Grave, again, really just should not be. It's like, just put it to 3. Like, it's a 3-of card, in my opinion. And then Unlimited Zen Mighty, yes, I'd like to see that card come back. Maybe we put it to 1 first and just make sure it's not going crazy. I don't think it would, but I'm a little bit hesitant to just be like 3. But I definitely think 1 is solid. Draco Fighter, sure. Double Irish Magician, sure. And Pot of Greed, Unlimited, obviously a joke here. I have talked about before, like Ryan and I said it, Pot of Greed's one of those cards that we'd love to see come to 1 just for a format to see what type of impact it would have, but we don't have that 3-month rotation of Banlist anymore, at least not nearly as consistently, so if it did turn out to be super problematic, it would definitely be one of those things people would be upset about. I just think it'd be fun to actually see what it could do. I'm definitely not like, oh my god, bring back Pot of Greed, but it'd be kind of fun. Alright, so this is the real thing, and maybe this is new to me, but maybe it's not new to other people. This gentleman has posted quite a few ban lists, and there's 2 that are most recent that I grabbed, so we're going to just see the progression here. A Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, I get the logic behind some people, but I'm just no. Necroworld Banshee should not be on any ban list. Like, no. It completely inevitably, terrible hit. There's 0 reason that card should ever be on the list. Dragoon I disagree with. Mine, I'm not going to cry any tears if it's banned, but I don't think it's ban worthy. I think 1 is good. Harpy's Featherstorm hasn't even really had a chance to do a ton yet, so let's pump the brakes on that. And Summon Limit, no. I mean, if you want to argue for it being limited to go with its other floodgates, I could definitely listen to that argument, but I don't think it does enough yet to warrant that. And this is where it gets a little crazy, right? So, limiting Ash Blossom, I guess, like, no. Like, that to me is just an absolutely, it's just no. Astrograph Sorcerer is a maybe. Again, it's really powerful. All 3 Dragon Rulers, definitely not at once. I think Redox is super problematic. I've said on record before I'd like to see them come back a little at a time. Blaster really should be here. Tidal is cute. I think it helps Mermails, Atlanteans, but I don't think it breaks them. And Redox is just insanely good. There's so many Earth cards. We're not limiting Ecclesia and Fleur-de-Lis. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, they're fine. They're completely fine. Max C to 1 is atrocious. I am a proponent of Max C coming back. I've talked about it before. Ryan and I talked about it. People don't like that opinion. That's fine. But Max C is a 0 or 3 card. You do not put Max C to 1 because it becomes a luck sack card, and whoever draws it first has an inherent advantage, and I am very much out on that. And this, I think this is legit. I don't know. I'm operating under the assumption this is supposed to be a legit list. If it's a meme list, then you can have a laugh at my expense. But the way this is written and the fact that he's posted multiple, I think he's intending to be legit here. Nibiru, okay, sure. Some people have talked about if Max C comes back, you hit Nibiru. Maybe, but I don't think that you hit them both to 1. That's really stupid. Monkey Board to 1, I personally would like to see. I'm a little nervous about it, but I think it's okay at 1. I'm not sure, as long as Plus Fire stays banned. Overraptor and Tyranno, I mean, those are problematic cards in a way. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno is really powerful, but we're not hitting both of them. And we're not hitting Fossil Dig as well as I look down a couple. Like, we're not killing dinos any more than they've already been killed, and I hate that deck. But sure. So, you want to limit Tyranno? Okay, the other ones are dumb. Zen Mighty, yes. Heavy Storm, absolutely not. It's way too good. You can trigger your own cards with it. We have Harpy's Feather Duster and Lightning Storm already. We definitely don't need that. Meteor Drytron, no. Like, just no, not even. This list is giving me literal head pains. Pot of Greed, okay, no, but like, sure, if you want, I'll get on board with that. Infinite Impermanence has no place being anywhere near a ban list. Same with Fogblade. This is literally probably one of the worst ban lists I've ever looked at. Especially because I think it's being presented as a somewhat legit list. Way too many semi-limited cards here. Into the Void, Monster Reborn, Regeki. Regeki should be a 3. Set Rotation doesn't need to move. Upstart Goblins just should be a 3 anyway, but not 2. Like, 2's not worth it, in my opinion. Skulker, Bajogre, fine. Into the Void, I guess. I don't know. I've gone back and forth about Monster Reborn as a possibility, but I just think it's probably still too soon. And, no longer on the list, Cyberjar. So we want to move Cyberjar to 3. That's bold. I'm definitely not on board with that. I think 1 is maybe testing the waters with and see what happens. Double Irish Magician, sure. Terratop is literally part of my favorite deck of all time, but even I understand this is a bad move. I would not do this. It would not be a prediction that I would see reasonable. Maybe 2 to promote the Speedroid set, but Ancient Fairy Dragon, you can't just jump that back to 3. It's still enabling FTKs. Beatrice is good. I'm not going to fight you on Beatrice. Emerald has loops, but would they see play? I don't know. 1 for 1 is a joke. Like, that card is way too powerful to be at anything other than 1. And Red Reboot, no, but, like, maybe, but, like, no, because, like, you're hitting a lot of other counter cards here at this point. So, like, I don't know who this list is playing to, but you can't, like, put Red Reboot back to 3 and then also put Feather Duster to 2 and Heavy Storm to 1. Like, you're just completely crippling, like, any chance that back row has, and that's way too far in the other direction, in my opinion. Well, the best part is, this gentleman posted another list a couple weeks later, because apparently decided it was good, you know, worth coming back to. This list isn't that different. He's still got Dragoon ban, still got Stormwind's ban. Hulk, I don't think Hulk is ban-worthy anymore, personally. I think for a while it dominated, but I think it's sort of just like maybe at 1 is okay, so you can't use like multiple copies. Still got Ash Blossom on that list for some reason, and he's decided against Ecclesia. Maybe he just was critiqued. Gamma to 1 makes no sense. Like, I don't know why we're limiting all the hand traps. Like, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dependent on hand traps to a problematic extent, but we don't need to we're not fixing that by just putting all the hand traps on the list, because then a lot of decks go unchecked. I'm trying to see if there's anything different here. Winda, no, there's just no point. Decks play 1, I think. Ib, the World Chalice, just this year. That was part of an FTK. I wasn't playing at that point, so I don't know what type of impact it would really have. But I think that and Denglong both being back at the same time. Maybe with Hulk being banned, it's possible, but I'm not in favor of that. And we're not limiting Meltdown and Alistair. That's just dumb. Like, Invoke doesn't do that much, where, like, it's good, but it doesn't do enough where we need to make those kinds of hits. And Impermanence is still on his list, so it's immediately bad. Semi-limited, that grass looks greener. Still no on Set Rotation. Upstart should be a 3. Bulb, Jet Synchron, Olion, okay, maybe you ban Hulk. I guess those cards can come off, but so the logic is there. I mean, I don't agree with banning Hulk, but if you are going to ban him, you can bring these other cards back. Maxi, I want to come back, so I'm not going to flame that one too much. Ancient Fairy Dragon, still an absolutely no, and Harpy's Feather Duster to 3 is just a lot too soon. I don't know, like, what these lists are really trying to accomplish, but they're really bad. Some of the people's lists were actually really good, and I'll put my own list up at some point, too. But I think people will, like, lose to a deck and just get this in their head that they need to, like, immediately create something that's like, we gotta ban all these cards because I lost to it. Like, that's not how it works, and ultimately, like, the game right now does need a lot of tweaks, but more so to freshen it up than anything, and the solution to that is not leaving most of the decks unchecked and then just banning a bunch of hand traps. Like, that does not fix the problems. In fact, it makes the game literally gives the powerful decks less checks and balances. This type of ban list that this person's posing here, Sky Striker, is still very, very good. You're not really doing much to counter that. You're barely hitting Drytron. You're not really changing much. All you're doing is just hitting cards that look like they've beaten you and giving back a few things, all way too much too fast. So while I'm in favor of definitely shaking up the game, these lists are not it, and I certainly do not feel like they're going to be the answer to the problems that we're having right now. So basically just an off-the-cuff reaction to some recent ban lists posted. Most of them were relatively, you know, harmless. Everyone's going to disagree on takes one way or another. Some people are going to be, like, steadfast that their takes are, like, the only acceptable way, and that's fine. Like, I get it. That's the way the internet is. But this list, these lists are just way too far askew even for me, and I think people are panicking about cards that really don't need to be hit and ignoring the cards that maybe do, and I'll address that a little bit more. I gotta wait and see how things shake up over the next month before I really start to put a ban list prediction video together. But that's today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, you know, let me know what you think about these ban lists. Some of them seem good, some of them seem not that great, but we'll talk about it a little bit more in a future video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.